Yeah, so I am Rahul, and I head the sales and marketing for the company. This is Tony, our sales director from JDM Group, who's the owners of the brand Roma, and that's Ranjini, my colleague, who heads marketing for the company. See, one of the ambitions that we have for this brand is that over the next 3 to 5 years, this brand should build itself to a scale of around 500 odd crores. That's the marker in terms of how will we measure its success in the watch segment. But coming back to your question, there's a lot of love for Swiss in the Indian market, and you can see it reflected right from the days of Yashraj films to the Swiss chocolate that are there, and the art and craft and excellence of watchmaking, which comes from Swiss. And it is reflected in the fact that the Swiss exports to India have been growing at a very rapid pace. So this is an absolutely opportune time for introducing the brand Roma, which comes with its Swiss heritage, same values of precision, craftsmanship, and making it accessible to the Indian audience, because Indian consumers are much younger than the rest of the world. 65% of India's population is below the age of 35. And those consumers actually seek authenticity. For them, style is above the logos or the established names. And that is where the brand Romer appeals to the senses of those consumers. And I see this journey going to be extremely successful one. You want to add to it?
No, absolutely. And from our side, so from the brand side, we've got, of course, a lot of experience with the Roma brand and, of course, the legacy of Roma. And so we've learned an awful lot around the world. And today the brand is still continuing to grow globally. So when we needed to find the correct partner for India to take Roma to the Indian consumer, there was only one choice, which was Titan, and to come together with a team at Titan to translate the Roma story to the Indian consumer, of which already we've just started the journey, and it's been a super positive one already. And from your
You
side?
talked about the culture aspect of it. The global narrative of the brand Romer is about its heritage. It's about its legacy of 138 years. The whole journey of the precision and craftsmanship. India also has its own cultural ethos that this brand should echo with. And hence, I'm sure over a period of time, we are starting the journey with Romer now, but over a period of time, I'm sure the brand will pay tribute with its limited edition watches, paying tribute to the Indian Indian architecture, Indian motifs, be it the Jaipur blues or the Meenakari, or the various inspirations that will come in, because that would echo with the culture of the Indian consumer heritage. There is also about engaging with the consumers in their festivals, because that's where the cultural heritage starts getting celebrated. So all of that is part and parcel of the journey which is lying ahead.
The watch culture in India is going through a huge tectonic shift. I think the analog coming back into play, people are seeing it as a very good embodiment of fashion identity for those guys. And the Romer launch today with Titan is sort of servicing that thought that people want a repertoire, people want to be able to identify with many aesthetics, and therefore Romer adds a very distinct aesthetic to the Titan portfolio of watches. And as Rahul very rightly said, Swiss is something which in India, especially in the watch culture, is seen as the pinnacle of how do you get the craftsmanship, the precision, the performance, but into an aesthetic which sits into the Indian ethos of dressing and fashionizing oneself.
Absolutely. What makes us different is it's something that we've done for a number of years now, which is to make, of course, a high quality, high precision watch that's got a story, a legacy from the past. But what's super important, two things to split down. One is that the pricing is accessible for many consumers, but also that the brand is relevant to the ladies. And already, globally, even before we started with Titan, more than 32% of the global business was for ladies' watches. But already since we started with Titan, it's more than 42% of sellout of all purchases in India are by the ladies. Well, it's interesting because if you talk, you can split it down into two. One is the aesthetics of the product, and one is, of course, the quality and precision of the product. Now, as a brand, it's always been Swiss made. It's always been produced, of course, in Switzerland, and it's never been interrupted in production since 1888. So, as he said, 138 years. So, one is that there's no question about the precision and the quality. That is without question. So that's point one. But then point two, we've got to make sure that the design is relevant to today's consumer. But it's always to keep that classic, elegant look, sometimes with a touch of sporty. But that's more not about the brand, but also about the consumer and what appeals to them. Sustainability, good question. I think the best answer I can give that is to create. Well, in fact, step back a second. There's many things in life that we don't need. Okay, but what we do choose to buy into, it should be something that is enduring and lasting and has got longevity. So with Roma, we're not selling something that is here today and gone tomorrow, because I know many people from around the world that purchased the brand many years ago and still today own that timepiece. And that's what we're selling. So sustainability is about doing something that we take care about the materials that we use. That goes without question. But to create something that lasts.
India, I think a lot of consumer audience for us will sit in the young fashion buyers. One, by virtue of, like Tony rightly said, the accessibility and the aspiration around owning a Swiss watch. Second, in terms of its aesthetic, while there is a spectrum that we are offering, so we do see the vintage looks also getting a lot of appeal, but the young, aspirant, fashionable, Swiss inclined youth of India is definitely going to be the first pick.
The very fact that 65% of India's population is below the age of 35, and on top of it, Gen Z is accounting for almost 45% of India's consumption. Very clearly, your core target audience is going to be the younger audience. But while it is appealing, there's only one age. Even for a 65-year-old, they all want to appear like a 35-year-old. So there's only one age, which is a 35-year-old.
Actually, that's a very good point that Rahul makes. That demographics is passive. It's how youthful, young you are feeling, seeing yourself as. So it's all about psychographics.
Romer is built for those who seek greatness or built for greatness.
Absolutely.
That's the message.
Absolutely.
From Roma.
Very precise, like Swiss precision.
So if you're on the start of your journey, if you're looking for greatness and you're willing to work hard and be precise in your inputs, you need a Roma watch to tell that story of yours.
Revealing my technical side. No, it's revealing the artistry and the craftsmanship of the Roma watch. Yeah, it's as simple as that.
My watch reveals my love for the color green, the green dial, the green shirt.
My watch is a MOP dial. MOP, it's a white MOP, mother of pearl. Has a certain purism about it, so it reveals the side of authenticity of mine. The slight embellishment of the finish on the bezel, which is very interesting. There is a bimetal strap which says that it takes two to tango, and how the two which don't seemingly sit together, when they come together, they create magic. So that's all that my watch is saying.
Driving, actually. I like water sports. I'm doing surfing. I'm doing wakeboarding. That's why I have chosen this excellent watch, which
This is one of the criterias while we select the brands in our portfolio of licensed brands or international brands. One is, of course, it should resonate with the consumers. It should occupy certain gaps that might be there from the existing set of brands, both internal as well as external. So we plot it, and there are various dimensions. There's fashion versus horology, there is aesthetics, there is accessibility. Only when we identify a gap is when we, look at brands to come into our portfolio. So there is need for complementing each other rather than cannibalizing into each other. So Romer, the quartz range is between 30,000 to 50,000. The automatics, the mechanical range is between 70,000 to 1.2 lakhs. Of course, yes. In fact, the younger generation is characterized by high disposable incomes. Unlike the previous generations who had more emphasis on savings, this generation likes to splurge on their own lifestyle, on their own looks, their own, the accessorization. So there is a lot of expenditure that goes, like I said, large part of the consumption is actually driven by Gen Zs. All right. So if I look at the younger demographic, would be accounting for 70-80% of the consumption. So they do. You need to. They buy into stories that appeal to them, that reflect their identity, that reflect who they are, and for that they don't mind paying whatever it takes. This Rajni.
You don't compete, you coexist.
Yeah, yeah.
I have
It's
my
about
bangles on my
accessorization.
right and my watch on my left.
There is accessorization. That is what appeals to the consumers.
Absolutely, look at him.
And not just women, not just women. Men are also accessorizing now. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.